force against civilians and deeply deplores the many human lives lost so far.
If Gaddafi does go, will he be missed? Unlikely here in Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, where the Libyan leader recently called for the country to be broken up in order to quell religious violence, leading many Nigerians to dismiss him as mad.
There have been many inconsistencies in how Colonel Gaddafi has positioned the identity of Libya, either whether it's an Arab Islamic country or whether it's a black African country. And I think what he's tended to do is to play the game of a political chameleon, taking on a different shade depending on what is actually supportive of his own objectives, not necessarily in support of Africa or the Arab states.
While he may not be missed, Colonel Gaddafi is one of the last African leaders to remember a continent largely ruled by Europeans. The famous winds of change brought that chapter to a close. And whatever the outcome of this crisis, Gaddafi's time as an influential figure in Africa has almost certainly closed as well. Yvonne Dege, Al Jazeera, Abuja, Nigeria.
Well, despite restrictions on the media in Libya, video documenting events there continue to make their way out. Dan Nolan is with us now with information about the battle that dominates those images coming out. Some disturbing images coming out of the country right now.
There certainly is. There's so much amateur video that's been coming out of Libya, but we felt compelled to really highlight this one clip in particular. It was given to an Al Jazeera staff member on the border heading into Egypt. Now, what this video shows is at least 22 dead bodies lying face down on the ground. Most of them are handcuffed behind, and most of them appear to have a gunshot wound to the head. Now, also, many of them are wearing what is clearly Libyan soldiers' uniform. Now, the stories that are circulating in Libya is that these are soldiers who refused to obey orders to attack or kill protesters, and as a result they were killed themselves. Now, we have no way to be able to independently verify this, as with much of these videos, but it certainly does show that there are maybe the full horror of what's gone on in Libya over the past week or so could take a long time to properly emerge.
Indeed, as international companies find it very difficult to try and get their own independent footage of what's going on, all we have to rely on in terms of images are from state television. There's a real battle going on about what is the reality on the ground.
There certainly is. So in the latest step from the government's point of view, yesterday they've launched a campaign to try and refute the allegations that are being made against them and what's happening there. Now, the latest step in that we saw on Libyan state TV just in the past hour or so, with some video that it initially shows weapons that appear to be tear gas canisters. Now, there's a voiceover running with it that's saying that these were weapons that were going to be used to try and assassinate government officials. The video then goes on to show a pile of Egyptian passports with more voiceover saying that these are purported infiltrators from Egypt who've come into Libya to try and stir up trouble. Now, it also shows confessions, or said to be confessions, from some of these gentlemen in the passports, and then it goes on to this other video that we were just about to see there, but it shows a whole bunch of guys laying out on the ground, apparently under arrest, with weapons scattered all around them. Now, everybody who's had a look at this video here in the newsroom seems to feel like it's looking a bit staged. Again, it's impossible to verify the authenticity of who any of these people are, whether they're anti-government or pro-government or whatever, but it is an attempt by the government there to try and stir up whatever tiny level of support remains for Colonel Gaddafi to stand by him, and it's certainly a big step for his media war that's begun yesterday to try and fight back.
And of course you and of course Al Jazeera will continue to analyse these images and try and give the clearest picture we possibly can to our viewers. Thanks, Dan, for the latest on that. Well, the search for survivors from New Zealand's natural disaster steps up.
And I'm Andrew Thomas in Christchurch with the latest on this city's devastating quake.
And I'm Emeka Omolu with more on what's surfacing online regarding Libya, including the angry diplomat, the flag and the Gaddafi picture. Find out how it ends a little later on.
Rhythms of resistance.
A part of the struggle and popular resistance is art. Through my art, I resist. Resistance is my art, and my art is my war.
Musicians using music as a way to maintain their cultural identity.
I believe that when I sing to the world, I portray Palestine through my voice, my singing, and my songs.
Songs from the lost homeland. At this time, on Al Jazeera.
East Timor's government has declared it's time for foreign forces to leave the country. But with a frail infrastructure, is this nation prepared to face a future without international support? 101 East, at this time on Al Jazeera.
If you're a Nokia user, you can download Al Jazeera's news widget from Nokia's Ovi store. The news widget, available on compatible Nokia devices, gives users quick and easy access to real-time news updates from Al Jazeera English. See the world in real time. Al Jazeera Mobile.
Welcome back. A reminder of the top stories here on Al Jazeera. There are reports the first western city of Misrata is under control of protesters. According to a witness, 6 people were killed and 200 injured in the city, which lies about 120 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli. US President Barack Obama has condemned the violence in Libya, calling it outrageous and unacceptable. And with the pressure rising, Gaddafi's son, Saif al-Islam, has called on Libyans to come together to fight in what he's called a national battle. Saif claimed the trouble was in the eastern parts of the country. On to some other news now, where international teams are helping with New Zealand's rescue effort following Tuesday's devastating earthquake, which killed 76 people. However, chances of finding more survivors are fast dwindling. New Zealand's Prime Minister says it may take longer or some time before the names of the dead can be released. Our correspondent Andrew Thomas has more from Christchurch.
The rescue mission is still underway in Christchurch, but hope with every passing hour fades just a little more. 76 confirmed bodies now in this city's mortuary, but the expectation, the certainty that that number will rise as more bodies are recovered. Recovering the bodies is still not the top priority. They are still hoping there may be survivors underneath the rubble. But on Thursday, no sign of life whatsoever has been detected, despite dogs going out, despite cameras underneath the rubble. There's no voices under there that anyone has been able to detect. The New Zealand Rescue Service is supported here now by rescuers that have been flown in from all over the world. Japan in particular has sent a lot of rescuers here because they had so many of their citizens in Christchurch. There was an English language school in the Canterbury television building, which was one of the worst affected, one that has completely collapsed. And there were believed, it's thought, nearly 50 students, Japanese students, inside that building.